thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies as we continue with part 14 of the Genius of Freemasonry by J.D. Buck. Facts and references. It would be beyond the scope and dimensions of this book to multiply references and to give all the facts that justify the statements and lead to the conclusions herein set forth. The records are by no means meager nor insufficient. Bowers' History of the Popes, Middleton's Letters from Rome, Robertson's Footprints of the Jesuits, and Gladstone's edition of the Vatican Decrees will abundantly justify the general trend of clericalism herein portrayed. The relation of auricular confession to politics is well set forth in De Lastre's History of Auricular Confession. Some of these works are quite old, but as the policy of Rome is said never to change, and as the principles of nature and of human action are themselves changeless, they apply to the present situations. In spite of all that is known and verified, the policy and resources for concealment in the Catholic organization are altogether unequaled, with the superstitious fear of excommunication and with the opportunity to persecute. Evil deeds are well concealed from the public. In spite of all this, even in Catholic countries, the protests against abomination countenanced or perpetuated by the priesthood are loud and deep. The whole history of the Dreyfus episode in recent times is an instructive lesson. Jesuitical intrigue, injustice, cruelty, and persecution, four-faced monster. Thy name is clericalism. In countries of Anglo-Saxon civilization, an accused man is considered innocent until proven guilty. But in countries of Latin civilization, an accused man is considered guilty until he is proven innocent. The Dreyfus case is in point. The spirit and character of the Inquisition have poisoned the blood of the body politic in every nation where Rome yet has ecclesiastical hold upon the people. King. Latin civilization at the present time has only one bond in common, and that is the recognition of Romanism as the political, ecclesiastical, religious power used for political purposes. King. Tact and expediency. Knowing how to avail itself of conditions, circumstances, and opportunities, characterize the whole history of Roman Ecclesiasticism. In pagan countries, in India, Ceylon, and the Far East, Catholicism modified, rechristenized, sophisticated, and then adopted the heathen deities, temples, ceremonies, and customs. The whole Roman Pantheon is thus derived. Not only have all roads thus lead to Rome, but all peoples and all religions and superstitions have paid her tribute. This worldly wisdom has thus built up Rome, but at a horrible cost to humanity and the progress of civilization. All real progress for man has been in the face of and in the spite of this incubus, which is the real genius of the Latin race and the animus and policy of Roman clericalism. Its policy in America today is in strict keeping with all of its past history, without honestly adopting one of the principles of our free country. It is secretly and surreptitiously adopting and sophisticating them, one and all, to political clericalism. Take a single practical illustration already referred to. The present writer lived in the city of Chicago as a boy of the age of 12, when the city had 45,000 inhabitants. Now its number over 2 million. All this growth has occurred in the lifetime of one man. Today the Catholic Church holds 50 million of untaxed real estate in the city of Chicago alone. At the same rate of increase, how much will the church hold 50 years hence? Sequestered from taxation, the state holds no title or claim to this vast estate, except the power to tax it for revenue. The conditions were different and far easier in France, but witness the hullabaloo there in the effort of the state to release the grip of Rome. Does anyone imagine that clericalism has not realized its opportunity here in America and taken the utmost advantage of it? How will you dispossess them when they own the whole of Chicago? Who will then pay the taxes? The clerics will run the city if they do not already, but they are always willing that others should pay the taxes to them. Taxation of the church property is the only present solution of this problem. What the clerics are accomplishing in Chicago, they are doing in every state, county, and city in America. Not only does this Roman clericalism add nothing to the revenues, but aside from thus gaining vast estate free from taxation, it continually taxes the people to procure more land and build more churches, parish homes, parochial schools, and the like, and stands in with the boss for revenue in every possible way by delivering a solid Catholic vote. Over $8 million were thus secured during 3 years of the boss Tweed regime in New York City from the public funds, many of the benefactors having no existence except on paper. How long will it take for this foreign bird of prey, settled so cozily in its nest of the American eagle, to oust the eagle and claim the nest? By the grace of God. He who even protests is an atheist attacking religion. This Roman clericalism, working 7 days a week in politics, is a religion and all the religion there is, according to the Roman pontiff. As a cold matter of fact, it is the worst fraud, the most colossal humbug that ever disgraced humanity in any age. Political ecclesiastical Romanism continues to be in this and in all lands an organized conspiracy against the liberties of mankind. King. The Inquisition was an ecclesiastical torture machine run with religious zeal and employed for political purposes. The secret of the diabolical possibilities of holy office or inquisition was found in the confessional, where the more honest and pious the believer, the more valuable the testimony he will be liable to give to the unscrupulous priest who stood between his soul and his God, and prostituting his sacred office. The priest passed the secrets of the soul and the safety and lives of kindred into the hands of the pitiless inquisitor. Has dishonor ever exceeded this? King. The accused, when summoned, paralyzed with fear, appeared without protest and without knowledge of charge or testimony, for secret trial and without counsel with family or friends, or knowledge of the process of his trial, except as its steps were punctuated with torture. Appeal to Rome could only be made through the inquisitioner himself. King. The Inquisition inflicted as penalties. Note: to be accused was to be found guilty in nearly every case. Confiscation of property, which was divided between the civil and ecclesiastical authorities, the dungeon, the gallery, the lash, the brand of infamy upon the subject and his descendants, and death in various forms, the most popular being the auto da fe, where after a long and ostentatious celebration, the victims were burned as an exposition. It is asserted by high authority that the official records show that during the 18 years of the Inquisition tour, General Torquemada, 10,220 victims were burned, 6,860 consumed and buried in effigy as absent or dead, and 97,321 subjected to penalties less than death. King. When Philip II sent Alva to the Netherlands and established the Council of Troubles, he sent 10,000 armed men and 2,000 prostitutes as a reinforcement to the Inquisition. Motley says, King. The whole country became a charnel house. The death bell tolled hourly in every village. columns and stakes in every street, the doors of private houses, the fences in the fields were laden with human carcasses, strangled, burned, beheaded. Alva, after 6 years' rule, boasted that in addition to those slain in battle and massacred, he had executed 18,600 people, and in a single massacre, mercilessly slaughtered 7,000 patriots. King. This was good Catholic politics in 1567, and Rome has never repented nor repudiated it. She would do it all again today if she had sufficient political power. She is infallible and cannot err. King. Spain has always been an exterminator among the nations, and never a civilizer. The Spaniard is cruel in consciousness, but very religious. King. Latin civilization of the medieval and modern centuries is the product of the power and teachings, not of imperial Rome, but of imperial papal Rome. Under Weyler in Cuba from 1895 to 1898, the reconcentrado system was enforced. By it, over 500,000 non-combatant, largely women and children and aged people, were corralled in towns, hedged in by bayonets, until over 400,000 were starved to death. Where was the Pope's protest against this Catholic general's tactics? Dr. Lyman Abbott said regarding the Cuban War, "I believe that the war just ended is the inevitable outcome of the antagonisms of 3 centuries here and for 18 centuries in the world. The conflict between the notion of government embodied in the public school and the government embodied in the Inquisition. Remember that political clericalism, expressed by the Inquisition and fortified by the confessional, is the genius of the Latin race, and this genius has over 3 million voters in America today to be voted solid by this same genius to destroy our public schools and make America Catholic. Shall we curb her power and pull her fangs now, or wait till in her snarling hatred she involves us in a civil war?" Satoli, the papal apostolic delegate who visited our country not long ago, was here for the purpose of temporarily lulling the storm of indignation which was raging against his church authorities because of their hostility to the public schools, and to compose the differences existing in the American hierarchy on the question of methods in securing public funds for parochial schools. The greatest triumphs in late years of Rome as a political power have been witnessed in this republic by its influence over executives in municipalities, states, and nation, by its control of legislation, by its drafts on public treasuries, by its control of the balance of powers in the centers of population all over the nation as the result of the solidarity of its voters. And yet men claiming to be intelligent continue to assert that America has nothing to fear from Romanism. This fact emphasizes the peril. King. How is it that the secular papers would dismiss and criticize the theology and eternal economy of Presbyterianism, Methodism, Episcopalianism, and other Protestant churches, and uniformly deal so greatly with Romanism? The reader knows why. Romanists claim and exercise the right in this country while enjoying the liberties so dearly brought to them, to criticize and to undermine our fundamental institutions, but chafe and protest against any criticism of their methods and efforts. Knowing perfectly well the value of cunning accomplished by fair pretenses, the Church of Rome carefully conceals her movement against our institutions. But this only serves to increase the danger. Professor S. F. Morris says that Lafayette, who was a Romanist by birth and education, said to him, and again repeated the warning, If the liberties of the American people are ever destroyed, they will fall by the hands of the Roman clergy. Romanism in history has been one continuous political, ecclesiastical conspiracy against the liberties of mankind. It has never deviated from its purpose to conquer nations and subject rulers to its sway. King. The darkest deeds of rascality which have cursed the history of civilization for 4 centuries have revealed the figure of a Jesuit in the background. The order has been expelled from the territory of European governments over 70 times. It has espoused the cause of nations and ruined them. It has planned conspiracies, plotted against sovereignties, overthrown cabinets, kindled insurrections, incited wars, promoted persecutions, and procured assassinations. Thomas Carlyle said, "For some 2 centuries, the genius of mankind has been dominated by the gospel of Ignatius Loyola, the poison fountain from which these rivers of bitterness that now submerge the world have flowed. Long now have the English people understood that Jesuits proper are servants to the Prince of Darkness. The Mafia and the Jesuits sprung from the same soil and are near neighbors. The Mafia have the grace not to sophisticate religion. Possibly they may have killed more people by assassination, but they have deprived and demoralized communities less. Moreover, we declare, say, define, and pronounce that every human being should be subject to the Roman Pontiff, to be an article of necessary faith. Boniface VIII. The Catholic Church is the sole living and enduring Christian authority. She has the power to speak. She has an organization by which her laws may be enforced. Our work is to make America Catholic. Our cry shall be, God wills it, and our hearts shall leap with crusader enthusiasm. Archbishop, Ireland, 1889. Mr. Franz says, so much only can be foretold with certainty that if the Catholic Church anywhere recovers her ascendancy, she will again exhibit the detestable features which have invariably attended her supremacy. Undoubtedly, it is the intention of the Pope to possess this country. In this intention, he is aided by the Jesuits and all the Catholic prelates and priests. Dr. Brownson. The Pope demands for himself the right to demand the providence of his own rights, and has so defined it in formal documents as to warrant any and every invasion of the civil sphere. Against such definition of his own power, there is no appeal to reason, that is, rationalism, nor to scripture, that is, heresy, nor to history, that is, private judgment. Gladstone. I acknowledge no civil power. I am the subject of no prince, and I claim more than this. I claim to be the supreme judge and director of the consciousness of men, of the peasant that tills the field, and of the prince that sits upon the throne, of the household that lives in the shade of privacy, and the legislator that makes laws for the kingdom. I am the sole last supreme judge of what is right and wrong. Cardinal Manning, speaking for the Pope at Kensington, October the 9th, 1864. Such a case of big head, colossal cheek, arrogance, presumption, and egotism can nowhere else be found outside of the asylums for the imbecile or the insane. When His Holiness has amassed a little more wealth, gathered a few more pauper votes, and a little further subsidized or boycotted the public press, we shall be treated to the same thing in America, and it always carries a sting like a scorpion, and sneaks in the grass till it can strike with security or imagine safety. It is wrong, under pretense of civil rights, to transgress the laws of the church. But if the laws of the state are openly at variance with the laws of God, if they inflict injury upon the church, or sit at naught authority of Jesus Christ, which is invested in the supreme pontiff, then indeed it becomes a duty to resist them, a sin to render obedience. Leo the 13th, 1890. What is treason? It is a fine piece of sophistry for every Catholic to accept and obey the above, and remain loyal to this or any other government. Of course, the government alone is to blame, and clericalism now expects it to kiss the hem of the Supreme Pontiff's petticoat and be thankful for the permission to exist at all. Every Catholic should rigidly adhere to the teaching of the Roman Pontiff, especially in the matter of modern liberty, which already, under the semblance of honesty of purpose, leads to destruction. We exhort all Catholics to devote careful attention to public matters and take part in all municipal affairs and elections and all public services, meetings and gatherings. All Catholics must make themselves feel as active elements in daily political life in countries where they live. All Catholics should exert their power to cause the Constitution of States to be modeled on the principles of the true Church. Leo the 13th, November 7, 1885. Has His Holiness no designs on America? None at all. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. If you can, please consider donating towards the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.